But I think it goes much further than that, no? Like we have the saying that it takes a village to, no,
Definitely, yeah.
to have a child grow up. And that comes from the past. I grew up like that and
How was that
grew.
when you had a village?
Well, to be fair, if it was the most
Amazing.
natural and most amazing thing I can imagine. So I'm super grateful for my parents that I got to grow up like that. And it was only way, way later that I realized that that's not the normal in our Western society, because we've then moved quite a lot. But I, yeah, now looking back, and especially the last years, that I've been more conscious of my lifestyle and my emotional and psychological health and things like that, I started realizing that I've never in my life again felt so good and comforted and supported as when I was a child living in that African community. And what I can remember is that we as children, I mean, I was lived in with my godmother in that little village, and we were always, all the children were together, and then the parents were usually working, and the grandparents, the older people, were the wise people in the village that were confronted for all the knowledge. No? So basically, the children hardly saw their parents in itself. My parents also worked in the hospital, so I was mostly with my godmother and with the other children in the village. But I remember the older children watching the youngest ones, the middle children doing certain chores with their parents. Everyone had their role, you know. And every time the children were together, there was one adult that was there, paying attention, but that adult wasn't necessarily a mother or a father of the children. Was just one adult of the community, watching over all the children, while the older children watched the youngest ones, while the middle ones had their roles in
Literally, it
taking
takes
care.
a village.
Exactly. So, and as soon as that adult moved away or had something to do, another adult would come in to watch the whole pile of children.
Also because the
And so
responsibility.
everyone learned with everyone. Everyone
Yeah,
had their own responsibilities. Everyone has their role
yeah,
in that society.
yeah.
And if you had something going on, or if you needed something, you would go to the chief or to the old people, you know, and ask their wise interpretation of things. And your parents would actually be the ones working and gaining the money to support the families, or not even the money, the food and the water and, you know, the actual life. So I think, yeah, just the fact that we have gone away from that, and our societies have gone to being mother, father, child, and everything is evolved around that child. And nowadays I see parents struggling with working nonstop and then driving their kids to all these extracurricular activities, and you actually have to make dates, children's game dates, you know, to play dates for them to actually meet and be social with their kids around. For me, it's a very strange thing to know that you have to make an effort and drive your child around in order to be as natural as possible. No?
Yeah, sometimes, especially in the city, when you see a big building of
Yeah,
apartments, and I imagine everybody has all the cutlery and all the plates, and there's like a bubble, a bubble, a bubble, a bubble.
exactly.
Sometimes you don't even know their names, yeah.
Exactly, and you all live separate,
And you
and
give so much responsibility to a little family to grow a child by themselves, which they will never go past isolation.
yeah. And I find it's a super stress for the child as
Yeah,
well.
it is.
Imagine all decisions, everything around your world lies on you as a child, without understanding the fact that you have all that responsibility. I mean, if it's just mother, father, child, and it's beautiful that the focus is on the child. It's find it very yeah, privileged that we can focus so much on the needs of our children. But a child is normally, like in any type of natural environment, also seen in animals or in herds or in our natural human way. A child would always just follow what is being shown to them,
Yeah.
no? In their environment.
How did they do or do they deal with individuality? Because I guess at least the narrative that we have is that we separated ourselves from that collectivism in order to develop ourselves individually and be special.
Exactly.
Was it a lot of punishment from your perspective in this kind of setting to those who were different? Did you see that if there was a kid that was gay or louder or whatever, or a grown up that was a little exotic, did you see that then the village would judge, or did you have an intuition that there would be a tendency to include the difference? Is it true that we need to isolate ourselves to be individuals? I guess that's the question.
I don't believe so. No. In my memory, but again, these are my memories of my childhood. I'm not 100% sure if that's true. But I mean, seeing myself, I was
You
the
were,
strange one.
yeah, you were the
I was
strange
the
one,
only
definitely.
white, fat little baby.
You were fat?
I was really fat. As a baby,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I could see those pictures of me on the arms of those skinned African women. But I was fully included in the community, especially children, anyways.
Yeah.
And anyone who belongs to their community, even with any type of health issue or difficulty or disability or something, I've never seen any type of judgment in that way. It was much more
Inclusive and
inclusive
warm.
than
Yeah.
our modern, more individual world,
Yeah.
as I can see it. What happened a lot was the judgment. So if anyone from the outside or in town, in the village themselves, if anyone got caught stealing or something, there wasn't a judge to deal with that or a system that would deal with that. It would be the
The
people.
village,
So
yeah.
the village would come together and really fight that person off or something like that. So the self-judgment was much stronger in that sense.
Accountability depends,
Accountability and things like that. But that has to do with the fact that there was no hierarchy in the political way. But no, I find it actually the opposite. The more like the more whole a community is, the less judgment there is for anyone being a bit
And eventually
stranger. No?
we will need to do what we were talking before about being able to put the qualities of two different things together. There must be beautiful things from that system, and maybe there is something amazing within what we have created, the fact that we can have freedom, yeah?
Yeah.
But obviously, this particular system is very imbalanced. If you just look at our health, it's showing left and right that we are getting ourselves sick.
Yeah.
So we will need to modify it in one way or another.
Exactly. Yeah, I find actually this individualism that you've
Yeah.
been speaking about, I personally find that quite dangerous. First of all, for our own health and for our own happiness, really, but also for the world, because we're not meant to be individual. We're not meant to be alone.
Yeah.
We're herd animals. We're supposed to be in an environment being and dependent on each other in an emotional and physical way. No?
Yeah, it's a journey. I probably, when I was younger, I would have considered myself quite individualistic in the sense that I felt judgment. I was the weird one. And maybe also when you are forming your personality, you see yourself more as a victim than you are. Yeah? But I did feel at a time in my life that I had to move away from my country and find my ways and not follow what the masses were doing or what the group was doing. So I can actually recognize myself in that, but pulling from my individualism, the conclusions that I arrive is that we need to collaborate more. Yeah? I think if you pull from the thread long enough, you realize that, what was the movie? This guy that goes in nature to live alone, I don't remember.
Into the wild or
Yes,
something.
and then he dies alone, and he realizes that the main thing was that he wanted to share his experience, and he dies alone. Yeah. So I think that is the full journey when you go search for your identity, and in the search of your identity, you realize that you are part of a
Yeah.
collective. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought when you spoke about your childhood and the individual, I don't think that's individualism. What I see as individualism are the people nowadays that actually have the privilege of being able to focus themselves solely
On
on
themselves. Yeah.
themselves and their well-being and their growth and things.
Isolationism almost. Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas what I see in you is, as a teenager, as a young person, we have that tendency. Even if you were living in a tribe, you will always try to expand from that. You will always try to seek the opposite. That's the natural way, you know?
The walkabout, no?
Yeah, yeah. It's like in any animal herd, in any animal kingdom, no? Like we always have those moments where we grow and you try to find your own being until you find your own tribe again. You know, it's.
But it's a very obvious
But
observation in life, what the Buddha said, you know. I have seen that nothing exists without everything else. And it is like that. It doesn't matter where you look in the garden, you look in your group of friends, you look economically, and yeah, we are all connected. And the more we become global, the more connected. So without looking at that, we're hurting ourselves, and it shows in
exactly.
our health. Yeah.
And I think also maybe it's a bit wide stretched, but I think one of the big issues why the medical systems are so overwhelmed is also because we are too individual and too separated. We're not helping each other out so much anymore. Also, the depression rate, the difficulty of everyone being diagnosed with ADHD and
And lonely, everybody's lonely.
pain
Yeah.
syndromes and all that comes from mostly from our mental state, no, from being lonely and lost in this ever so fast moving world, while our own beings and our own like natural necessities are not being taken care of. No? We're not meant to walk the world alone, and we're not meant to be a super individual being.